Have you heard about the viral case going on in Georgia with Adrianna Smith? Wild story. Smith was 9 weeks pregnant when she went brain dead. And there has been a full-blown hysteria over Georgia's pro-life laws forcing her to be kept on life support to keep the baby alive. Pro-life win. But this story brings up an interesting discussion about if mom should be kept alive to protect the baby, or if other people in her family should be allowed to make the decision to abort her baby. What if she wakes up and is devastated to find out her family killed her baby? So much here, and it reveals that the left has no idea why we're pro-life and what it means to be pro-life. Let's dig into the moral implications of this viral story today on the Seth Gruber Show. But first, give us a follow on Rumble in case YouTube ever kills us. You guys have been doing that. I appreciate that. Rumble's where free speech lives. YouTube has the biggest reach. If we get digitally assassinated, we got to keep reaching people. Give us a subscribe at Rumble. Go to iTunes. If you got an iPhone, it's the purple app called Podcast. Go to the Seth Gruber Show, hit 5 stars. It helps us so much. And write, love the show, or maybe you can ask me a question or write something in. We'd appreciate that so much. And the White Rose Resistance is just now turning 3 years old. We're the fastest growing pro-life organization in the country. It's because of people like you. Pro-life Christians, largely, who put their money where their mouth is, and they're fired up to get involved in an organization that's awakening, mobilizing, inspiring, and equipping the local church to take back responsibility for these evils, to push back, to protect children and babies. Amen? That's what we do. We'd love your help. Go to thewhiterose.life, sign up at $35 a month. That's called an ally, okay? Most of you probably, if you're a coffee guy like me, you probably spend that in 7 days, 6 days at Starbucks. $35 a month is an ally, and you get your battle box in the mail. You join our White Rose app, and you have access to curriculum, training, live calls, fellowship, community, our White Rose chapters around the country. Or $70 a month, we call that air support. And you join our Books in the Barracks book club. The next book we're reading is called The God of Sex, a powerful book to understanding the radical religion of sex that we're seeing in our culture. And we hang out and we talk about the books live on Zoom. It's super fun. Support us, whatever you can. It means so much to us. Let's get into it. This is the Seth Gruber Show. The left is losing their mind. They're upset about something. I know, it's shocking. Apparently, the left doesn't actually understand what the right believes. Did you know there's actually been studies about this? There's been polling and research into the right's extrapolation and expression of what the left believes and the left's attempt to explain what the right believes. And by and large, the right understands fairly well and fairly nuanced what the left believes, even if they think it's stupid. But the polling and research has shown that the left doesn't really understand what the right believes. And in many cases, guys, this is because the radical leftists, they don't talk to conservatives by and large. Have you ever seen this? I had these hilarious viral videos where a conservative influencer will, go to New York City and say, are you voting for Trump? Right. And they're like, no, of course not. And they're like, well, do you know anyone who's voting for, we don't know anyone who's voting for Trump. Do you know any Republicans? I don't know any Republicans. So it's those on the radical left, they actually despise and hate us. And because of that, they rarely talk to us. And they usually don't want to be friends. So, shocker of shockers, they don't really know what we believe. Rarely have I seen a case that so perfectly expresses this than this story you may have been hearing about recently of a brain dead woman being kept on life support in Georgia because she's pregnant. And Georgia has a pro-life law. And so, shockingly, they're living up to the pro-life law and saying, we're not going to remove her from life support because the pro-life law means protect the lives of unborn babies. And excuse me, the radical left, I mean, going through X and looking at all of the radical leftists, I wish we could just like go through them all, but you can go do it yourself if you'd like. It's overwhelming. I mean, this person, Judy Chu, on X says, a brain-dead woman is being kept on life support against her family's wishes because of Georgia's cruel abortion ban. Adrianna Smith, that's the mother, is not an incubator. She was a person. But what's that? What's that? Oh, isn't that interesting? We just got a perfect admission from the radical left of their view of personhood. You know, people have come back from initial evidences of being brain dead, right? It's not super common, right? But miracles have happened, okay? I still believe that's a person, but they're in a state of no more, right? The unborn child is in a position of not yet, right? Not yet has the unborn child sufficiently physically developed to be capable of rationality, self-awareness, desires, consciousness. But they have everything they need from the moment of conception to realize those capacities given time. Do you know what I'm talking about? Right? Like, okay, men don't reach their mental peak until their 40s. That's true, by the way. By the way, my wife recently found that out, and she was like, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. I think she's really holding out hope for me. But the point being is that I have not reached my full mental capacity yet at 33. But does that mean I'm not a full person now? No, of course not, right? Like, we all find ourselves on a different tick mark on the continuum of human development, but that continuum of human development began at the moment of conception. Okay, I mean, you could say teenagers with their still developing prefrontal cortex that make very, very poor decisions, right? They haven't realized certain capacities or functions yet that are still being developed, but that doesn't mean they're not persons now. It's the same thing with the unborn child, but the left has a different view of personhood. They define the person not as a biological entity and not as a Homo sapien. They define the person based off of, well, sometimes they can't decide. They all debate on whether is it just consciousness or is it a combination of consciousness, self-awareness, desires, ability to feel pain, a sense of longing for the future, memories. Like they're always debating, like Jeff McMahon, Peter Singer, like all of these radical leftists have offered different constructions or arrangements, you know, or equations of what makes up the person. But the bottom line is it's all based off of capacities, accidental properties, or functions that may come or go and that we don't all share in the same degree equally. So it becomes a very dangerous view of personhood. This random leftist on X named Judy Chu refers to Adrianna Smith, the mother, as was a person. Because she's currently brain dead. And so, sorry, not a person. Now, let's say Adrianna Smith's family chose to continue keeping her on life support rather than wanting to remove her from life support because they were believing in a miracle or praying for a miracle that maybe she would come back to them. And then let's say this leftist on X that I'm looking at right now, Judy Chu, snuck into the hospital room and slit Adrianna Smith's throat. Would that be wrong? It's hard to see how that would be wrong given her view of personhood. Because according to her, Adrianna Smith isn't even a person anymore anyways. So why would it be wrong to mistreat a pound of flesh? Anyways, all this gets interesting, right? It's important to understand the left's view of personhood, by the way, because you have to understand that the left's view of personhood that allows them to dehumanize and justify killing the unborn naturally and eventually will indict people on this side of the womb as well. There's no reason why the view of personhood the left has constructed that denies rights to the unborn child can't one day be used to deny rights to you. There's no reason why it can't be used to endanger human rights for people on this side of the womb as well. And it already has, and it often does. From the severely cognitively disabled to the severely handicapped to the severe Alzheimer's patient or to the grandmother who's too much of a burden on their adult children. Like, there are stories across the West in the 21st century, in the days that we're living in, where those kinds of people have been medically murdered because of the less view of personhood. So it's just a warning, okay, for everyone listening, that even if you're not super burdened about the abortion issue and saving the lives of the unborn, you should want to ban abortion for selfish reasons, because what did Lincoln say? Those who deny freedom to the slave deserve it not for themselves, and under a just God cannot long retain it. I think I slightly botched it, but Lincoln said, whenever I hear someone defending slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on them personally. Lincoln's arguments against slavery were primarily based on the left's definition of personhood, the racist definition of personhood. And he would attack it by showing that the personhood you're denying to the black and the definition you've created of personhood that denies that equality to the black man could just as easily be used to deny equality and rights to you as well. It's the same problem with the pro-abortion position. So just be wary of anyone who says that, like, a person, like the unborn baby in the womb is not a person because they're not conscious or self-aware yet. Those same people will murder you or your grandmother one day. Okay, that's all I'm saying. The Last Stand is coming up, guys. It's so close, in Downey, California on June 21st, 2025. Have you gotten your ticket yet? This is going to be a life-changing event. We want to see you there. Join us on this one-day Christian festival with worship and speakers and activities and fellowship. Why? Because in order to overcome this wild, bonkers, evil culture of death, we must usher in a culture of life. We actually have to stand and fight. We have to stand and speak. We have to do something and push back. That's the church's job, we believe. We'll have David Harris Jr., Alex Clark, Riley Gaines, Victor Marks, Heidi St. John, Lou Engle, Pastor Jack Hibbs, and so many more. And worship with Ben Fuller, 10th Avenue North, Influence Music, and more. But the resistance is far from over, right, guys? You know this. Really, our work has just begun with the overturning of Roe. We have a long road ahead of us. Family and biblical values are still under attack in our country. Until we turn to Jesus and we pray for hopefully a third great awakening, we have a lot of work to do. And it's the church's responsibility to stand now. Go to thelaststand.com, thelaststand.com. Get your ticket today and use promo code SETH10, SETH10 for 10% off your ticket. I will see you on June 21st at The Last Stand. Well, philosophically, that's why all of this matters. But the left has lost their mind. This gal at X says she deserves dignity. This is cruel. And all of these leftists on X are rending their garments and saying, this is what happens when white Republican men are in charge. It's like, you really don't know what we believe, do you? Of course it's good that Adrianna Smith is being kept alive on life support, because it's very unlikely that she'll come to. It's impossible, as far as I know, for the doctors to actively do something to reverse her brain deadness. So what a wonderful thing that we have the medical technology to keep her on life support until her unborn child can develop to a gestation where the child could be delivered via cesarean section and go on to thrive. But everyone is very upset at NPR, funded by your taxpayer dollars. I hope Elon Musk gets them completely defunded. NPR, Adrianna Smith, writing on May 21st, 2025. Adrianna Smith is now roughly 22 weeks into the pregnancy, so very close. If the baby can get to like 25, 26 weeks, the baby will be fine, totally fine, sometime in the NICU. If the baby can get to 30 weeks or more, usually almost no issues at all in terms of long-time health. And Adrianna Smith has been on life support for more than 90 days. The mother of Adrianna Smith says, my grandson, oh, okay, so you're referring to the fetus, so I guess it's a person. It's your grandson. That's interesting. My grandson may be blind, may not be able to walk, and we don't know if he'll live once she has him, she said last week. And I'm not saying we would have would have chosen to terminate the pregnancy. What I'm saying is we would have had a choice. So a grandmother who just referred to the unborn baby as her grandson is saying we would have liked to have had the choice to slay him. Wow. That sucks to have a grandma like that. Democratic State Senator Nabila Islam Parks wrote a letter to Georgia's Republican Attorney General Chris Carr asking for clarity about how Georgia's abortion law should be applied in this context. She says, let me be plain. This is a grotesque distortion of medical ethics and human decency. What are the chances that Democratic State Senator Nabila Islam Parks is pro-abortion? Yeah, so never let people lecture you on medical ethics and human decency when they believe that all babies in the womb can be slaughtered in the name of radical feminism. She says that any law in Georgia could be interpreted to require a brain-dead woman's body to be artificially maintained as a fetal incubator is not only medically unsound, it's inhumane. It's inhumane. Don't we use the word inhumane when we're referring to humans? Like humans should be treated with human decency. In other words, they should be treated humanely. But how could it be inhumane to treat a brain-dead person who in your own construction of personhood is no longer a person by keeping a pound of flesh biologically operating to sustain the life of an unborn child? Why is that inhumane when Democratic State Senator Nabila Islam Parks has a construction of personhood that necessarily means that Adrianna Smith is no longer a person? So therefore, there's no concern with treating them with decency or not, right? These are the questions that people would ask if they thought for themselves. The law, says NPR, known as the Life Act, was narrowly passed and signed into law by Governor Brian Kemp in 2019, but was not in force until the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. There is nothing in the Life Act that requires medical professionals to keep a woman on life support after brain death, Carr's office responded in a statement. Removing life support is not an action with the purpose to terminate a pregnancy. So that's interesting. I mean, yeah, if in a way that's true, like, but you're forgetting the presence of the baby, right? So removing life support of your grandma who's brain dead is not killing, or someone who's been in a coma for 4 years, and let's say the parents choose to remove life support. That's not killing, that's letting die. Because without the presence of extraordinary 21st century medical technology in the first place, there would have been no way for you to keep that person going anyways. So you're allowing a natural process of events to follow that would have happened anyways if you were living in 1890. So that's not murder, right? That's letting die. But Adrianna Smith is not an unpregnant woman who we're allowing to die. There's another human being in the equation, and that human being has a right to their mother's body because the uterus is the only organ in a woman's body that's not created for the mother. It's created for the baby. So therefore, when feminists say, I have a right to my body, actually, the fetus has a right to your body because the uterus is not for you. The uterus is for the baby. The article continues, it says, Emory Healthcare seems to have come to a different conclusion. Well, thank God for that. The hospital has not addressed the Attorney General's legal opinion and has not responded to repeated questions for comment, but the health system did provide a statement to several outlets last week. Emory Healthcare uses consensus from clinical experts, medical literature, and legal guidance to support our providers as they make individualized treatment recommendations in compliance with Georgia's abortion laws and other applicable laws, the health system wrote. Our top priorities continue to be the safety and well-being of the patients we serve. Great. Mary Ziegler, a law professor at UC Davis, says that, Northern California, says this disconnect is not uncommon in the post-Roe era. She says the scenario in Georgia right now is an example of what you have when the Attorney General who says, no problem, go ahead, and when you have doctors and their lawyers reading the law and saying, we're not so sure. In the case of Adrianna Smith, Ziegler says one reason Emory Healthcare may be interpreting Georgia law in this way is because of a provision in the abortion law establishing what is known as fetal personhood. Yeah, that's awesome. Fetal personhood is the idea that embryos and fetuses are people and have legal rights. In Georgia, for example, residents can claim a fetus as a dependent on state taxes. Mary Ziegler, radical leftist kook, She wrote a book recently called Personhood, The New Civil War Over Reproduction. A new friend of mine, Representative State Senator Ed Stetzler, who sponsored, not Ed Stetzer, by the way, not Ed Stetzer, not the dean at Talbot Biola Seminary, who's a total idiot. I actually think he's like a false teacher, like a wolf in sheep's clothing, like an evil man. Like Barry Corey from Biola, if you watch this, you should fire Ed Stetzer right now. And Sean McDowell, my good old friend who won't talk to me anymore because I asked you to speak up against the hiring of your new boss. Y'all at Biola should say Ed Stetzer should be fired. And we posted publicly about why he's unqualified, not just as a Christian leader, but certainly to lead a seminary. So not that Ed Stetzer. This guy's name is Ed Stetzler with an L. He's a state senator in Georgia who sponsored Georgia's 2019 abortion law and said in a statement that he believes Emory is interpreting the law correctly. He says, "I think it is completely appropriate that the hospital do what they can to save the life of the child. I think this is an unusual circumstance, but I think it highlights the value of innocent human life. I think the hospital is acting appropriately." So shocker, leftists, that's right. Pro-lifers believe that babies are people and that unborn children, because they're human beings, have human rights. And the right to life doesn't come from our size, our level of development, or our cognitive abilities. It comes from the fact that we're human beings, and we're human beings from the moment of conception. And so it's in complete alignment with pro-life ethics to keep a brain-dead woman's body operating on life support, because they're not the only person in the equation. There's a little baby who has done nothing wrong, whose right to life should be protected and safeguarded. Being pro-life essentially means that adults should do the hard things and the right things so that the rights of children are protected. But first, we want to thank our sponsor of the Seth Gruber Show, our friends at Every Life Diaper Company, everylife.com. America's pro-life diaper company. If you're having babies, if your kids are having babies, right? You got to get a gift for the adult children. If you got a nursery at the church, everyone should be getting their baby needs from Every Life. Not only do they have high quality diapers and wipes, they also have baby shampoos now. Non-toxic, all organic, none of that junk in it, right? All about that crunchy, make America healthy again stuff. It's great. My wife and I have it shipped and delivered straight to the house. We don't have to do those emergency runs to Walmart. You can time it perfectly before you run out. High quality, it's great. And it's amazing to watch thousands of you guys begin to defund pro-abortion, anti-family baby companies. That's why my friends at Every Life Diaper Company created the company, because most of the baby brands support abortion, either verbally or financially or both. One of the ways we're going to win the culture war is we actually have to bankrupt woke corporatism by not shopping at companies that hate the unborn and our faith and our values. Easy thing to do. No reason not to do it. Everylife.com, promo code Seth10, Seth10 for 10% off your first order. Thank you, Every Life. So if you want to abort your baby, you shouldn't do it because it's not right, and you should sacrifice and work harder to do whatever's necessary to support the child that you created. I can say with full confidence that if we ever were asked a question, my wife was ever asked a question by a doctor or something like, if you ever end up brain dead while you're pregnant, what do you want us to do? I have no question that my wife would say, keep me on life support. My baby shouldn't have to die because of a horrific circumstance that happened to me. This is basic pro-life beliefs. And stories like this are, while rare, fascinating opportunities when a viral story like this goes out for us to teach the culture what it means to be pro-life and why we're pro-life. And as we proved today, it's a fun opportunity to kind of mock pro-choice ideas. This is inhumane because you're mistreating a woman who's brain dead, and in my leftist calculation, a personhood is no longer a person. That's inhumane. Huh? Twist yourself out of a pretzel, okay? Rub two brain cells together and see if you can come up with some common sense. It's a great opportunity for you to teach your friends, family members, and coworkers what it means to be pro-life. And it's a great opportunity for politicians in particular. I would love to see more representatives like Ed Stetzler. I'd love to see the Georgia governor to help teach the people pro-life principles through stories like this. That's why we do what we do at the White Rose Resistance, is to disciple the culture and the church, to step up, to man up, to make hard decisions and to sacrifice, to do what we can as adults, as Christians, as conservatives, to safeguard the rights of children. And nowhere are those rights more endangered than in abortion, than in the womb. This is the tip of the spear. This is the front of the battlefield. This is really all that matters. Trump will be celebrating America's 250th anniversary. I mean, we all will. America's a wonderful country, but we've got a lot of issues. And we can't really make America great again when the bodies of our children and the sewers of our country run red with the bodies and blood of our children. I think it was Dietrich Bonhoeffer who said the ultimate test for a moral society is the kind of world that it leaves to its children. That entails sacrifice. That assumes sacrifice. But a third of my generation or more is missing because they were slaughtered in the womb. What kind of world are we leaving to our children when all unborn children can be legally killed in all 50 states, as long as the parents do it? It's only criminal right now when an abortionist does it. It's not criminal when the parents kill their own kid. And we've had that conversation before on the show. America is great because America was good. And if America ever ceases to be good, she will cease to be great. America is not great because all of her people are Christians. They certainly are not. America is great because of its ideas. But even America will not last if we continue off of the cultural cliff that we're going on, which today, under the Trump administration, actually means more children are being slaughtered now than they were under the Obama administration. And that's not necessarily all because of Trump. That's primarily because of the abortion industry's abortion pill. But you're not going to make America great again. You can't MAGA. You actually can't MAGA when our sewers are filled with the bodies of 630,000 babies every 12 months. Like, they're now testing our water and they're finding aborted fetal cells in the water we're drinking. Like, that's how many babies are in our sewers. It's a small political story, but it represents a larger point, which is that we can't fix this mess. And we can't really change hearts and minds and the cultural consciousness and the cultural compass until the church and people with enough courage to speak begin to do so. This story is an easy. I mean, talk about tossing me a layup. Talk about throwing me a bone. What an easy way when TikTok and X are blowing up to talk about pro-life issues. And most people never will because it's too uncomfortable. They'll lose their friends. It's too controversial. How long will we remain silent? Eventually, actually, our silence will lead to it being illegal for us to speak. We have a window of time. Trump is this interesting mercy window we've been given. What are you going to do? What are you going to do as we head towards America's 250th anniversary? As we're getting all these cool wins and sticking it to the man, and Gavin Newsom's getting ready to run for 2028. What will you do? Will you speak? Will you challenge your pastors? Will the church awaken? That's what we do at the White Rose Resistance. If that is meaningful to you, go over to thewhiterose.life. Join us as an ally at $35 a month or more. Join the resistance. Join the army. Until next week, I'm Seth Gruber, and this is The Seth Gruber Show.